edition of Books and Financial Review. This is the place where awesome writers meet awesome readers. This is also the place where we give you all the financial information you need for your financial success, for our businesses to thrive, to grow, that we can pass on to the next generation. Today is a finance edition, and we have a case study on the table. Before I go through the case study, this program is brought to you by Fembes Books Cafe. You can locate us on the Adenta Shalom Junction. Fembes Accounting Services for filing your tax returns, payrolls, pay as you earn, trial balance, or business advice. You can contact Fembes Accounting Services. Back Publishers. Back Publishers is also into all kinds of textbooks, storybooks. We have the Kofi series. You can call 0248859319 to also join Africa Must Read Book Club. Call the same number. Now I read a case study for the day. Believe It Limited is into chocolate production. According to an insider report, Believe It chocolate products found in grocery stores are no longer milk chocolate. They are chocolate flavored candies. According to management, to make high quality chocolate, you have to buy quality cocoa beans to make cocoa butter. Cocoa butter is then combined with sugar, water, emulsifiers, which help the oil in the cocoa butter stick to the water saturated sugar. The liquid chocolate is then heated, poured into molds, and cooled to produce solid chocolate. Over the years, mass production chocolate manufacturers such as Believe It Limited have decided to use cheaper ingredients to keep costs down and increase profitability. Instead of buying high quality chocolate beans, they bought less expensive beans from mediocre source. They then replaced cocoa butter with vegetable oil, so much that food regulatory bodies wouldn't allow them call it milk chocolate anymore. They add more emulsifiers, preservatives, and other chemical additives to keep the zombified chocolate together to make it last forever on a shelf. According to the informants, the management wants to reduce costs. Today we want to look at reducing costs. Business owners, companies all love to reduce costs because when cost is reduced, that is when more profit is made. We all want to make profits, and so we are looking at how we can cut down costs. Is all the costs that we cut, is it necessary, or there are some certain costs that we cut that will affect the very value or what the business or the product stands for? And today we are blessed again to have a very familiar face with us. She's the CEO of Nelvis Business Dialogue. She's a business coach. She's known to be the 99 Ideas Lady. And she's here to help us to discuss this case study of cutting down costs so that we'll be able to make much profit. Thank you so much, Sevako, for making time again with us.
Thank you too.
Okay. On this note, we'll be going for some short messages. Stick and stay, or else we come back to discuss this topic. Stay tuned. Welcome back. If you just join us, this is your favorite program, Books and Financial Review. Today is a finance edition, and as I read the case study today we are looking at cutting down costs. Most business owners want to cut down costs to be able to make more profit, but we are looking at, is it all costs that is necessary to cut, or some costs that will affect the very value or the purpose of the product or service. And as I mentioned, today we are here again with Epia Sebako. Epia, looking at this case study, I believe it resonates with a lot of business owners. Yes, want to cut down costs so that we can make profits. What's the essence of cutting down costs?
There comes a time in the life of every business that you see the need to cut down on cost, because sometimes it gets to a stage that is so bad that if you don't cut down on cost, you close down. And if you are fortunate enough to see it early, then I would say that you want to cut down on cost so that you don't get to the point where you'll be forced to take drastic measures, otherwise you might fold up. Then, of course, we have you wanting to just make more profit. So those are some of the instances that pushes business owners to wanting to cut down on costs.
Okay, I think that's a bit. Is it all cost that is necessary to cut?
I like that question because you can cut down on a lot of costs, but there is one type of cost you should never touch cutting down on. And that was exactly what the company in your case study did.
Believe It's Limited.
Believe It's Limited. They decided to cut down on costs by cutting down on the core reasons why people buy their chocolates. Now it is no longer chocolates, but it's candy. And so if I was buying their chocolates because I wanted to get chocolates, now I'm not going to buy that because I didn't bargain for candies. And sadly, there are so many other businesses that do the same thing.
Okay.
The wache seller across the street, that's the same thing. You buy her wache and it's wow, and so you see a lot of people buying it. And then the next time you go and buy, you are wondering, did you really buy it from that woman? Because this is not the wache I know.
There has been changes.
There has been changes. And you go for a service at a particular place and it's beautiful, and the next time you go, it's not the same. These are things that happens every day. It's not only belief that does that, but one thing you should know is people are buying it because of how you started, how they liked it.
Okay.
So when you change it, they talk by walking away.
Okay.
Customers talk with their feet.
Okay, so just as you said, I think then Believe It's Limited is cutting down on costs they are not supposed to. Then let's come to cost that a business owner, companies can cut down on and then still improve in their profitability.
There are so many ways to cut down on costs.
Okay.
From the little or tiniest thing you might even overlook to huge things. Tiny things like putting off your lights. Tiny things like using water the right way. Tiny things like the number of dustbins you even use in your office or in your company. Tiny things like switching from paper systems to paperless systems.
Okay.
All these tiny things are ways that companies can cut down on costs smartly.
Okay.
To huge things like employing the right number of people. The first question you should ask yourself is you knowing about assets and liabilities. The number of people you've employed, do you really need everybody? Or you just decided to employ them for prestige so that you can tell people that I have this number of workers? Or you employed them because you wanted to feel like I'm the boss.
Okay.
Right now, when Kam Ajia doesn't sell the wachi anymore, or girls or motor mano, was that the reason you are recruiting? Do you really need to recruit those people?
Okay.
Or it is because we are office, so let me bring the person to work so that I can pay the person. But is the office bringing value is that of, I say, an asset or a liability.
Okay.
Another way to look at cutting down on cost is the type of things you buy for the company.
Okay.
There are things that you ask yourself, do I really need, before you
You
buy
have to
them?
look at the stage at which you are.
And then you also need to look at where you have gotten to.
Okay.
Sometimes the company can even afford it, but is there a need for it?
For it. Okay.
So, you wanting to buy a car for your company, the first question is, can the company afford a car? Maybe the company can, fine. So would you need to go for a loan to get that car? And how much would you need to pay as interest?
Okay.
Will the car be able to bring back that amount of money? All these are questions.
And then maintaining it.
Maintaining it. Do you have systems in place to check your workers and check the monies that are going in and coming out to be sure that they are not stealing from you? Mind you, a lot of companies would have been making a lot of profit, but because they are stealing from them, they are not making that profit.
Okay.
So cost cutting can be looked at from so many angles. Even the space you are renting for your office, the location, is it affecting the amount of money you are paying as rent?
Okay.
So all these things, when you take proper look at them, you can cut down on real cost and not affect the very reasons why people are buying from you.
Okay, so let's also look at the angle, if we are into production, the angle from suppliers. How do you navigate around that also to cut down costs?
That's beautiful. For you into production, you need to make sure that you know what the market price is. You don't deal with just one supplier. Who can give me the best deal? Who can give me the good time to make my payments? And who can give me the best of price? Every coin counts. So you don't just sit down there and, oh, my auntie does my supplies. At what price? Is it to the effect that it adds on more cost to your production, that something that you could have sold for 1 cedi, you are forced to be selling it for 5 cedis? So it's important that you take a look at suppliers when it comes to production.
Okay.
Sometimes even managing schools and hospitals and things like that, you need to take a look at suppliers, because those people supplying your medications, even as little as your liquid soap, you could get a good supplier who will supply you at a very good price and will give you very good time for you to make payments.
Okay.
And you have to also make sure that things that you need to buy in bulk are bought in bulk.
Okay.
And things that you can wait to buy in smaller quantities, you can do that.
Okay. I think this is a great contribution and delivery, because just as you said, every coins counts. When I was growing up, my grandmother mentioned, when you try, I think I tried to say that 50 pesos is no money. But my grandmother told me that 250 pesos make 1 cedi. And then when you have 1,000 and you take 50 pesos out of it, it's no more 1,000. So just as you said, every coins counts. So it's not only looking at the big things that you say that you are cutting down cost, but the very little things like switching off the lights, you're looking at your suppliers, making comparison, expanding at a rate where it's more advantageous for the company. Yeah, the accountant will call it over trading. You are expanding beyond your capital can afford. In this way, you have to go and borrow. And that borrowing is also coming up with another interest which you have to pay. And that is also additional cost. And so, just as we are discussing, viewers, it's not only looking at the big things, but the very little things, the points. When you put it together, it's I think it's a lot of money. So let's look at the very bit that we can, the very bit that we can do away with instead of looking at the big ends. And she's mentioned something. She said that Believe It Limited has cut down costs which they are not supposed to. Let's look at the very bits we can do away with, the small coins. Just as she mentioned, Believe It Limited has cut down on the costs which they are not supposed to, and I think is going to affect the company big time. On this note, we'll be taking some short messages. We'll be right back to continue the discussion. Welcome back. This is your favorite program, Books and Financial Review. That's the place where awesome writers meet awesome readers. Today is the finance edition, and we are looking at cutting down costs. We had a case study on the table where Believe It Limited, which they are into chocolate production, has cut down costs, which they are not supposed to. It has affected the quality of the chocolate. So they are no more producing chocolate, but then candies. We've looked at how the other costs that we can cut that will not really affect the quality of our production or service. So coming back to you, Sefako, and so in this case, what will be the long-term effects of Believe It Limited? What will be the long-term effect for them?
It's as simple as they would end up closing down.
Okay.
The very reason why they were cutting down on cost, what they wanted to avoid, is what they are running themselves into.
Okay.
Because customers would walk away.
Okay. But I think they are putting in preservatives and chemical additives rather. So I think it will still taste as chocolate, but then it's not chocolate.
People who would want to buy chocolate mostly buy for health reasons.
Yeah.
And so if these were the reasons why people got attached to that brand, then the brand has now changed. It is now something that would rather harm your health.
Yeah.
So definitely they would walk away. Unless they change their brand statement, their brand value, which also takes time. It takes time to change a perception somebody has about you to another perception. So they could now say we are a candy company instead of a chocolate company. But
even the reason why they are moving into candies is no good reasons. Yeah.
To cut down on costs.
Yes.
So one other thing is customers would find it difficult to trust this company because you promised us A and we were moving with you, and all of a sudden you were giving us a B. So if you are telling us that we should trust you to be giving us a B now, how sure are we that you wouldn't be giving us a C?
Okay.
So they've lost it.
Okay.
And it's highly possible that if they continue with that, they would end up moving out of business.
Okay. So in this case, advise Believe It Limited. What should they do?
So advice, send them. What I would say is they would need to go back to the tables. They would need to go back to the drawing table and watch other means that they can cut down on costs, and then make sure that they go back to their original products that people loved and try to explain to their customers that they are back to what they knew them for and they are ready to stand by their roots and all that, and go back to the drawing table and find other means by which they can cut down on costs.
Okay.
Like the things that we just
discussed. Yeah. I think this is a very sound advice. I believe this will resonate with a lot of businesses out there. A lot of businesses have sacrificed quality to cutting down of costs. is there. We see them. She mentioned the wache seller. It's not only the wache seller, but a lot of businesses have actually sacrificed the quality of their products to cut down costs to be able to make profit. But then the good news is that there are a lot of costs that you could actually cut down without affecting the quality of your product. And so we've mentioned a lot of the costs that if you didn't get that part, you can get this video on our Facebook page, The Marketplace, or Africa Must Read. Thank you so much, Efako, for making time with us. I believe cutting down costs that are wasteful and unnecessary is certainly a good idea, but control the cost, but don't undermine the reason customers buy from you in the first place. Thank you also for making time with us. We continue to remind you that we still have Kofi series, the stories. Read it with your children. Let them learn the moral lessons in there. Let them grow up to become responsible. And if you've not had a good read this month, call 0248859319. Call the same number to join Africa Must Read Book Club. If you're an adult out there, if you want to improve on your reading skills, call the same number. I believe we've had a very insightful discussion today. I believe you've learned something. There are costs that we can cut that will not directly affect the quality or the value of our services. And we should look at that rather than cutting down costs which will affect the very reason why we are in market or we are in business. Thank you so much for making time with us. This program is brought to you by Famous Books Cafe, Famous Accounting Services, and Back Publications. Thank you so much, Efako. Thank you. Make time with us, same time next week. Call me Veronica also at Obini. Until then, stay blessed.